That's the difference: symbolic victories versus actual material change. To the left, the most important thing is materially improving the lives of normal people. Okay, now you should have a better understanding of the whole left versus liberal thing. But just to refresh, liberals may genuinely care about people, but their policies do not adequately improve people's lives.
Tell me something, how the hell does your socialism improve the material living standards of people when you destroy the incentives for people to work? You create a dependent class, you then destroy their wealth, you basically destroy the incentive to be productive, you strangle the very sector that is the productive sector. Again, how are you going to finance it all? You don't even understand the consequences of your actions. It's a bit like the silly person who seems to think that they can control prices above or below market value and then think that nothing would go wrong after that. Every single attempt that socialists try to correct the problem with inflation, they tried to set down price ceilings, and the price ceilings resulted in a price shortage problem, and you never seem to learn for your lesson. You've not even got a clue what you're even going on about.
They still want to operate under the capitalist system and therefore are not part of the left.
If they wanted to operate under a capitalist system, they would support the free market economy, but they don't.
Let's take a minute to consider which of these worldviews is more appealing to you. I'd wager that most people are more concerned with their material realities than winning empty symbolic victories.
So if they're concerned with that of their material standards of living, they would support a capitalist system. You're faced with the economic calculation problem. You destroy the information of profits and losses. So never mind running the printing press, because that's what you're going to be left with. How the hell are you going to make them better off? You've basically destroyed the information of profits and losses that tells you the information of people's needs and wants. If you don't hold the information of people's needs and wants, because people aren't chess pieces on a chessboard, they're not all the same. I mean, you talk about 65 million people in Britain alone. How are you supposed to know the needs and wants of every single individual of society? How's socialism going to correct that problem? If they've got their main concern around that of material wealth, they're going to support a free market economy. They're not going to support some full-blown socialist economy that's based on economic central planning. You having a laugh?
You want to see tangible benefits to your own life and the lives of your neighbors. People have economic concerns, and they need to be addressed. We inherently understand this, that we need to look out for ourselves and each other, and that's a key pillar of socialism.
Socialism isn't about looking after yourself. Socialism is about communal ownership of property. That means the subordination of all individual rights and all individual ownership. All of it. Every single bit of it. It means that you don't even have an option to look after yourself. You don't get to stand on your own 2 feet. If you had concern over yourself, then of course you would have individual liberty. You don't have that with socialism.
I think there's a lot to be said for things we inherently understand. If you were to ask a 7-year-old what we should do about people who don't have a place to live, or enough food to eat, or the medicine they need to live, what do you think they'd say? They'd say we should give those people what they need.
Well, children don't understand the real world, and if that's their answer, then they've just proved that, because not all housing is the same. That's like saying that, oh well, everybody should be guaranteed a house there, therefore we could just guarantee everybody a mansion house. You don't look at the complexity of things. Even food. Not everybody likes the same type of food. Some people are even allergic to certain types of food. There's people who are lactose intolerant. There's those who are, they can't even take nuts because they've got nut allergies or whatever. So you've got all different types of people when it comes to food, and all different types of food. You've got vegans. And what are you going to do? Try to force us all to be vegan or something like that? No, all housing is the same. Take, for example, every single area. Some folk prefer to live in beachfront housing, and they might prefer to live in that specific type of location. Now, there's obviously going to be a greater demand than land available. So you're faced with the economic reality of scarcity. So how then do you get to determine without the information of prices who gets to live in them? Your only other option is to turn to favouritism. Let's just use my league. It's like a fishing village or something like that. There's only so many folk that can live there, and there's only so much land available to build on. There's only so many of the houses you can build there. If the population in demand of that area dwarves the quantity of space available, how then do you get to determine who lives in it? You can't determine that 10 million people are going to live in the beachfront because there's no enough room. So how then do you determine? And I'll never get an answer to that one. You've now come to the realisation that the world isn't as simple as you think it is. It's not as simple as just saying, oh, we can just guarantee everybody housing. What type of housing and where? Because if you're saying you can just guarantee people any type of housing. You can just guarantee people just living in mansion houses. You don't live in the real world. And children can be excused because children don't understand.
Humans are a social and altruistic species. We all start out with these morals, and then we're slowly indoctrinated into capitalism as we grow.
You talk about morals. Morals is what you call something that's right. Government theft and violence, coercion is not moral. There's nothing moral about taking away the rights of individuals and forcing us into a collective group and then thinking you have a right over our life. That's not moral. That's what you call immoral. If you don't understand that, then you're a lost cause. Basically, to say you've been indoctrinated into capitalism, no, you've not, because you don't even live under a capitalist system. Your socialism created all the problems, and then you say the capitalist system for your fixing of the interest rates through your socialism, forcing us all with a fiat currency, taking away the free market money, creating a serious inflationary problem through your socialist fractional reserve banking, and then you try to say that it's a capitalist system that you've been indoctrinated into. Your type are beyond ignorant, you really are.
And it's not like we couldn't afford more humanitarian policies. It would just mean corporations wouldn't make as much money, and that's a deal breaker under capitalism.
So this is a problem with folk like yourself. You've got a problem with rich people having money. If you were to draw a comparison between people like me who support capitalism and that of yourself, the socialist, and like I said earlier on about the negativity and the pessimistic view, they see everything as the glass is half empty. They can't see green cheese without having a bit. Whereas myself, I see the glass as half full. In other words, I'm happy with what I've got. I've got a lot of great things. I'm happy because I'm seeing progress in my life. All you ever do is you just look at what the rich have got and that's it. You always compare yourself to them. I couldn't care less about them. See, so long as the poor are getting richer, who cares about them? The rich people are a great benefit to the economy. The fact that you don't even understand that says everything about yourself.
Another key part of socialist ideology is democracy. Democracy is about as American as apple pie. We're always talking about how we have a strong democracy, how democracy is what makes our country great. And yet, our elected officials, both Democrats and Republicans, fight tooth and nail against expanding democracy. They're constantly making it harder to vote, or giving corporations more power over their workers, or refusing to acknowledge the rights of certain groups.
Right, so we've already established the fact that when it comes down to socialism and try to get rid of the private sector, the one that controls the money, the one that takes the money is the government, and that's the one that's going to be the manager and the central planner of the economy, and that's how it is in practice, right? Never mind your theoretical absolute garbage. And the one who nationalises and controls the prices and everything is government. And through socialism, through nationalisation, you're faced with the inevitable reality that price controls will always follow. And when you distort the information of profits and losses, you've no longer got the needs and wants of the people. So then, how can you be democratic? When you've no got the information of people's needs and wants, you can't do it. It's impossible. But then you go on about the United States of America. The United States of America is a constitutional republic. That's the reason why. It wasn't founded upon a democracy. It's pathetic the fact that somebody like me, who's never lived in the United States of America in his life, never even stepped foot in the United States of America in his life, I know more about your country than what you do, and that's the sad part. The main reason why they supported a constitutional republic was to bind government down to prevent it ever becoming big. Of course, we're not saying the republic was anything perfect. The constitutional republic would protect the minority from the majority. That's the whole point here. You know, as a result of democracy, we lost our rights to gun ownership in Britain immediately. I know you socialists would think that's a wonderful thing. Oh, you would. And what's happened as a result yet? Well, here in Scotland, here's the wonderful hate speech bill. Oh, you socialists love that one. Isn't it funny how you socialists at the same time told us that you support freedom and liberty and your libertarian socialism? It's that libertarian you want to take away people's right to freedom of speech. The reality of you socialists is you're totalitarian. I think you know it, you just don't want to admit it.
Socialists want to expand democracy. We believe in the ability of the people to make decisions for themselves.
And that doesn't happen because in order to keep a population of 65 million people all on the same page, you need a 5-year plan like you saw in the Soviet Union. Because down the road of central planning and the government becomes the manager, you're not looking at things for what it turns out in practice.
We should be able to elect our officials directly, not let other people choose them for us. Our elections are unnecessarily complex, the Electoral College is a silly system, and politics has become little more than a sporting event. Socialists want to give electoral power back to the people so we can directly vote for policies that would improve the lives of average people, not continue to enrich the already obscenely wealthy and powerful.
What the hell do you think you did when you gave the government the power to tax you? If the government's the one that has the power to tax you, the government's the one in power or your money and where the money goes, who's the one that carries out the nationalisation? It's the government. So therefore the government's the one that gets to manage it. Doesn't matter about your vote. You can say, oh well, we will just vote them out if it doesn't. Does that matter? You think that stops self-serving politicians? If that was the case, then our democracy in Britain would have done just that. How else do you think we ended up with a self-serving government? We're in this mess because of the fact that you had dependency upon government. You say, oh well, it's all people power. People for what? You're voting for a leader. Do you not understand that language? You're voting for a leader. You don't want to be the leader, you don't want to stand on your own 2 feet. You want a leader. In other words, you're becoming dependent upon the state. It abuses you. You're like the dog that chases its own tail round in circles. It chases the same tail round and round and round in circles. It's gone nowhere.
We should have a say in how our workplaces are run, not be beholden to every counterproductive corporate initiative. If you've ever worked in retail, you know just how badly the stores are managed. Take Best Buy, for example. I used to work at Best Buy as a camera expert. My job description was to help people find the best camera to suit their needs. I was good at it. I love cameras and I know how to pick the best one for any application.
Hold on a wee second here. You love what capitalism produced. Nothing at all to do with socialism. That's got absolutely nothing at all to do with socialism. They're called cameras that you know about. They were produced because of capitalism. See, if it wasn't for capitalism, these wouldn't exist. You wouldn't have the capital in order to produce them. And you're saying about how Best Buy has got poor management. Again, capitalism doesn't guarantee that your business is going to be a success. That's not what capitalism's about. And I can actually tell you that much of the inefficient business that you see today is because of all the subsidies, etc. See, in a free market economy, all those inefficient businesses would just go out of business. And if you turn around and say, well, where's all the jobs going to come from then? Simple. Your more efficient industry comes through. In other words, only the more efficient, survive. That's how you teach people a lesson. You don't prop failure up. Just because you've got one bad manager, it doesn't mean to say every manager's bad. It's just such a silly argument.
But, like any retail environment, the managers would swoop in, tell us how to do our jobs, and we'd end up with unhappy customers or feel horrible about ourselves for pressuring people to sign up for credit cards they don't need. Workers aren't stupid. We know how to run our departments better than the managers do. Socialists want to flatten labor hierarchies as much as possible and bring real democracy to the workplace. Workers should be able to elect their managers, and should make up at least part of every company's board. We believe that the rights of all humans are universal, that we're all created equal, no matter the color of our skin, or where we come from, or our sex, gender, ability, or who we love.
No, we're no equal, pal. That's the very reason why in meritocracy you've got certain people who are better skilled than other individuals, whether you like it or not. It's a bit like saying, well, in sport, we're all equal. We're all equal to Messi. We're all equal to Cristiano Ronaldo. We're all equal. No, we're not. What you try to tell us? That Scotland in international football is equal to that of fucking Brazil? You don't even understand the real world. What do you mean we're all equal? Maybe in terms of skin colour and all the rest of it, I agree with that. But the thing you don't acknowledge is the fact that in the workplace, everybody's got their own skill level. It's meritocracy. Welcome to the real world of capitalism, where everybody's at their own skill level. Some people are harder working than other people. Therefore, the more harder working person should be rewarded more than that of the other person. But that's not what you socialists want. You socialists want to equal that out. You socialists want to take the person who works less with less effort and make that person who works harder get the same as as the person who works harder. You want to make that person equal. That's basically what you want to do. How the hell can you call that fairness and just? What's just about it? If you're going to argue for meritocracy, that is capitalism. That's the old name of capitalism. Again, you don't even make sense.
No one should be considered a second-class citizen because of some immutable characteristic. We believe everyone should truly get a fair shake, and there's nothing more American than that.
Right, so I think you're talking about equal opportunity. Right, fair enough. That's exactly what we believe under capitalism. Your socialism destroys incentive, it destroys opportunity. You don't even understand communal ownership. Because if you did, you'd understand there is no and individual workers, etc., and all this theoretical nonsense. That tells you don't even understand socialism. In fact, I don't even know a single socialist that does.
Okay, that's all well and good, but don't socialists want to take away people's freedom and make us all poor?
Actually, you do. You really do want to make us all poorer. You basically want to take away the individual's rights and liberty completely. Because that's the only thing you can do with socialism. How the hell can you claim to stand for liberty? How the hell can you avoid totalitarianism when you basically want to subordinate the rights of individuals and place the group above the individual? Strip individuals of their rights and liberty over what they want to do. You know, there's countless people out there who want to run their own business. What right have you got to dictate to them that they can't do so? Who the hell do you think you are? You're trying to tell me you don't want to dictate their life? What do you call subordinating the private sector then?
On the contrary, we believe that capitalism stands in the way of real freedom, and we want to fix that.
How the hell is capitalism the one that's standing against the freedom? I really want to know this. How can you take away my right to wanting to run my own private business? How can you take that right away from me and then say that you stand for liberty at the same time? It doesn't make sense, mate. It doesn't make the slightest bit of sense. You have to force me into a collective group. You have to forcibly remove my rights and my liberty to owning my own private business. You have to forcibly remove that from me and take that right away from me and take that liberty away from me. How you love cameras? Well, surely you know stuff about photography then. And if you know about photography, you'll know the most common photographer is a freelance photographer. Maybe it's somebody that runs their own business and doing wedding photography. You can't collectivise that. So what you going to do then? You're going to tell me that now socialism's got something to do with private individual ownership?